Hi, Homeworthy. My name is Laetitia Laurent. I'm the principal at Laurent Interiors, and this is my home in Boca Raton, Florida. Welcome, come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. If you're looking to make your own space more homeworthy, we've teamed up with Cherish, our go-to online destination for chic, one-of-a-kind finds, sourced from the world's most wonderful vendors.
Mercury drops are from an artist I found on Cherish.
Whether we're after a bold statement piece or the perfect finishing touch, Cherish has extraordinary items that leave a lasting impression.
This table I bought on Cherish from Berlin, and it has a little bit of it's a tray, and it is mid-century, and it's one of my favorite pieces.
It's where we find iconic looks to set homes apart.
I think many dealers would agree that Cherish is the absolute best.
So to support Homeworthy and discover amazing items from Cherish, scan the QR code or click on the link below to start shopping.
My name is Laetitia Laurent. I'm the principal at Laurent Interiors, and welcome to my home in Boca Raton, Florida. I moved from Paris, France to South Florida. I wanted a sunny environment and fell in love with this piece of land. It's a cute lot that has a great water view that faces a natural preserve with all the birds and all the nature. When I bought the house though, it had a very small cottage sitting on the lot. It was a 1,400 square feet cottage, and tore that down and built a new structure on the more modern side. What really drew me to this house, to be honest, was its location. It sits on a body of water and it faces a nature preserve, so the whole view is just really gorgeous. And when I built the house, I wanted the windows of the living room to act like picture frames so that the outdoor really becomes the center stage. Welcome to my living room. This is one of my favorite spaces in the house. Everything is fairly neutral. Everything is also performance because I have 3 children. I really like these leather chairs. They're very comfortable. When you have people over, I like to create different areas of seating. So this is one where somebody can put their cocktail down. This is another one where we like to gather as a family and watch TV. I like cocktail tables to be very low. I find that when you're entertaining or even when you're by yourself, it's nice to be able to reach down and put your glass of wine down or your cup of coffee in the morning. When designing living rooms, I always like to incorporate fireplaces. I find them to give a very sexy, warm atmosphere to the space. And I love a TV that disappears as art, so this is what we did here. And the backsplash is this beautiful stone and wallpaper and wood, so all those different elements playing together really warm the space. I also think that in a living room, it's really nice to have beautiful coffee table books. I love so much art, and I'm from France originally, so this one is called Chateau Life, and it has beautiful recipes and beautiful paintings and scenery. It's just a really beautiful book to be able to flip through at the end of the day. Also, when designing a living room, I love incorporating shelving. I think it's a really pretty moment to display a lot of different objects. I have books that have been in my family for a very long time, a lot of artifacts that we've picked up through our travels, a lot of diffusers to give the space a beautiful scent. Pops of red and green actually are colors that to me are on the bolder side but work really well in an otherwise neutral environment. This is a fan that I picked up from a hotel in Miami that I find very fun. This is the iconic Hermes book holder or paperweight, and I love it. And these vases in this beautiful green color, I love the way it reflects the light. So for the cabinetry, I opted for two finishes, a wood finish and a front that resembles a marble front. And the reason I did that is because I wanted to pull in elements that feel a little bit more raw organic with elements that feel a little bit more refined. I kind of call it the balance of leather and lace, the hard and soft. So to me, the stone is a little bit on the harder side and I soften it with the wood. So that's why the cabinetry has that same two-tone element to it. For the curtains, I always love to add drapery pockets everywhere I can. So when we built this house, I made sure all the rooms had drapery pockets so that the drapes feel like they really disappear into the ceiling. We also have a cloud ceiling detail with an LED detail in the ceiling. So the drapes really just look like they're coming and going very freely. And I love that we took them all the way to the ceiling because we have these very dramatic doors that open to the outside. And at night, it just gives this really enveloping feeling that makes it so cozy. For the rug, I always like to choose rugs that have kind of an artistic brush stroke, almost watercolor feel to them. I think it grounds the space and makes the space feel a little bit more refined and sophisticated. I also always pick performance fabrics. I find them to be a lot more forgiving and the colors just blend everything together. So I love this rug. For pillows, I like to start with a fairly neutral palette, and pillows is an area where you can add some contrast, things that are a little bit different. So on the sofa, we have some that have this dark kind of, I guess, amber orange that add a lot of warmth to it. And then we did the same pillows in a lighter beige color to go on the leather chairs, kind of as a mirror and pulling everything together. And that's one of those colors that I kind of refresh throughout the year, where I bring in, more spring colors when it's more springtime or summery colors when the temperatures get warmer. It's just an easy thing to update. So the furniture in the living room is a little bit on the lower side because the lines are more contemporary. So for the table that we put behind the sofa, I opted for a table that almost looks like a bench because it's quite low, but it really is a table. I tell my children not to sit on it, that it's not a bench, that's a table. But I guess the height is really in between the two. And I think it helps ground the space. I think it really helps define this area as the living room. And it's just another area where you can put great coffee table books. This one, my girlfriend gave it to me. It's called The Modern Woman. And it's on top of Paris Chic, and it's on top of American Cowboy. So I have the equestrian American take, the Parisian decor, and then the modern woman aspect of it. So it's really kind of a layer of a lot of things I love. And so that's what tables are for, just a great place to display all the things you're in love with. So my personal style is on the more edited side. So I wanted an envelope that felt architecturally very clean, a lot of open spaces, a lot of breathing room. But I also wanted a house that had really a place for everything. I entertain a lot, I cook a lot, we have a big family. So I wanted the living room, kitchen, dining room area to communicate really well with each other. I also wanted the outdoor area to feel like a resort with a lot of light coming in, and all the bedrooms are upstairs in a very comforting, kind of like family-friendly way. And I would love to show you my kitchen now. Welcome into my kitchen. So for the kitchen, I decided to keep everything very streamlined. It's actually a fairly large space that packs a ton of storage, of a lot of cabinets, and I wanted everything to feel concealed, like it disappears. So that's why on the cabinets, for example, I opted to not have any hardware. I find it to be really easier on the eyes. All the cabinets open and close this way. All the drawers have a nice soft close touch to them. I just think the lack of hardware makes it a lot more seamless and disappearing. The finish on the cabinet is called cashmere, and I love this color. It's this kind of soft with a very slight pink rose undertone beige color, and I find it to work in a lot of different environments. For the stone, we picked this stone by Constantino. It's called Laurent, which happens to be my last name, so it felt very serendipitous. And I love the dark black with these gold veins through it. I just find it to be very modern and stark, but adding that element of warmth. I love to incorporate upper cabinets with lights in them. These are quite high, so they might not be for things that you reach every day, but I do feel that they add an element of glam to a kitchen. I display bowls in there and, things that I pull out maybe during the holidays, but at night especially, that light looks really pretty in those glass cabinets. I think in a kitchen, it's really important to pay attention to where the light is coming from and allow for a big window. If you can ideally have a big window right above your sink, looking outside, that's the way to go. You spend more time than you probably want to at your sink, and you want a beautiful view to look out to. I'm a big fan of art, and in France, which is where I'm from originally, you incorporate a lot of art in places that can feel industrial or utilitarian, like a kitchen. So to me, a kitchen is a great place to bring in pottery, ceramics, vases, paintings, and make it look even more lived in. The floors we picked, I think the tile is 48 by 72 or 48 by 60, but a large format tile to make the space feel a little bit more grand, more modern, very little grout lines. Everything feels very clean and kind of like a slab floor. All right, so I think that if you have the space in your kitchen, you should try as much as possible to have a huge island, because that's where the party always ends up at. No matter how many times you tell your guests to go take a seat in the living room, everybody hangs out at the island. It's also where I feed my kids. It's where I promote my girlfriend's drinks. So I'm a big fan of a big island with lots of seating. My career path, I studied art and design in Paris. I got my master's degree from the Sorbonne. I then moved to the US. I worked at a small design branding agency firm for a couple of years before I started my own firm. And I started very organically. I had always grown up with artistic parents, and in Paris, you're surrounded by art and architecture. And I just started helping my girlfriends design their houses. And a girlfriend told another one about me, and then I partnered with an architect and a builder and formalized things and hired people who were amazing and did things that I was not the best at, and just kind of like surrounded myself with stronger, skilled people and grew the firm over time. Next, I would like to show you my dining room. Welcome to my dining room. Okay, so dining rooms are really, really important to me. I host and entertain a lot, so I think it's a very special space in the house. I opted for a table in an oval shape because it allows you to sit a lot more people in a more comfortable way, in my opinion. The top of it is this black marble, and the reason I love this is because it's very forgiving. It doesn't stain, it's honed, so it has a leather finish to it, which feels actually really nice when you're sitting at it. The chairs are in this faux white leather, again, because I like the brightness of them, but the upkeep is much better in a faux leather. I went for a very dramatic light fixture because I find it fun. It's also dimmable, and it puts out different points of light, which happen to be very flattering when you're sitting around the table. I love art, so I have large canvases here, which are always kind of an interesting conversation point where everybody debates about what they think they are. I have nicer art in the corner. That was one of the first pieces I bought at an auction, so it's very special to me. And then my husband gifted me this one, which is by an artist who is named Eden Zarensky, and it's called Bigfoot, and it's around the idea of having a sense of home. So the artist grew up all around the world, which is great, but never felt like he had a home or never felt grounded. So he does these sculptures that have these huge feet as a representation that home is a place where you feel planted, where you feel like you belong. So my husband gifted this to me when we moved into this house. So it's very special. I have this buffet here that has these marble-like cabinet fronts to pick up the marble from the table and all the other elements that we have in the rest of the house. I chose to wrap the whole dining room in wallpaper. I'm a huge fan of wallpaper. I think it just adds element of finish and coziness, and I just think it makes the room come together. I love adding candlesticks to the center of a dining table. I think it just makes for a beautiful glow in the evening. These particular ones have this little artistic touch to them, kind of geometric shapes. I love the way they come together. This piece of art I bought at an auction, 5 or 6 years ago. It's actually by Rory Lichtenstein, and it's the cathedral that he painted in a series of different colors depending on the light of the day, and this one is in yellow, so it's a very special piece to me. So this was an interesting addition. It was kind of after the fact, but I felt like the dining room needed to be framed even more, but I didn't want to completely block off the wall. So I looked into these, and they're actually architectural wood slats which move. They have I spent some time in Japan, and this was reminiscent of a lot of the Japanese kind of design work where you separate a room but you don't block it off entirely. So I added these, and depending on where the light hits, they're open or closed, and just help define the room a little bit more and add this interesting architectural element. As a designer, a go-to design tip, I would say to remain authentic. And what I mean by that is that if you design from a place that feels true to you, things that you genuinely love, for example, things that maybe you have picked up through traveling, or heirlooms that have been in your family for a long time, or old records, old books. That's what I mean by authenticity. I don't like designs that feel too contrived. I think you also have to design with how you're going to use your house, and that's very much how I design my personal home. We have 3 kids, so everything that you see is performance fabrics. We put tables down low because you always want a place to be able to rest your drink. The kitchen is really functional, so just designing from a place of authenticity and trueness is, to me, the best way to design. Now, I would love to show you outside. Welcome to my backyard. I wanted to have this space feel like a resort, so I have some lounge chairs in the back by the pool. I also have a fireplace that we gather around. I built it inside of this concrete structure, and the chairs themselves are also made of concrete, so all very heavy, but we get a lot of winds here, so I wanted to make sure that everything stayed in place. And there's a hot tub on the other side of the pool, and a shower around that corner, an outdoor shower that's kind of concealed behind the greenery, which I can show you, but it makes for showering the kids or even at the end of a party very easy. And then back here, it's a really nice view. We have a dock and all the water view, and all the birds come home in the evening. It's really pretty to watch. This fireplace is a great place to gather at the end of the day. We have grilled marshmallows on it, but it's a place where we talk about the end of our day. We share a glass of wine. We gather around it with our friends. It's a really nice feature, and it looks really amazing when you're in the hot tub and you catch that glimmer of the fire on the backdrop of this view. It's gorgeous. All right, this is my little garden, and I know it's not much, but I'm very proud of it because I've always wanted one, and this is a fairly recent endeavor for me. So I'm sticking to herbs because that's all I could really manage, but I even have lavender. So I've been making cocktails and teas using this fresh mint, this rosemary, this lavender. I have basil, rosemary. I use all of these to cook. My little one, my 3-year-old, is the cutest. He'll come with me and we cut this together. He smells everything. I think it's such a beautiful way to teach your kids where food comes from. And it's very therapeutic for me. At the end of the day, I come home and I start gardening, and I've been loving this. All right, so this is our outdoor living room. I think it's really important to have one of these because you spend a lot of time outside in Florida. I wanted a space that feels very comfortable, where we gather around as a family. We watch football games here. We have a lot of parties. Everything is completely performance, so you can sit with your wet bathing suit and dirty feet and not worry about anything. The table is in that same concrete finish that we have for the chairs by the fireplace. So it's very grounded. It feels very natural and organic, which to me, that's one of the very important things when you're designing outdoor spaces, is that you want the elements to feel very natural, organic, like they belong. So we have a rope detail, for example, on these chairs. We have that same kind of raffia linen detail on the pillows. And then I added a lot of greenery around just to kind of brighten it up and give it that very resort-like feel. So we have this beautiful centerpiece here and a tree in the corner, some shrubbery on the side anchoring the console table, and it all comes together. Welcome to the outdoor dining space. I entertain and cook a lot, and in Florida we spend a lot of time outside, so I wanted a dining table that was really large to accommodate very large parties. When the weather is right, we've actually even hosted Thanksgiving dinners out here because we have so many people inside that we need the outside table as well. We have a buffet piece over here, which I actually use to keep our pool towels in and all the sunscreen and all the craft activities for the kids, so very handy. And back this way, we have an outdoor kitchen area, which is so convenient because I'll keep drinks in the fridge when we're having parties and use the grill and cook, and everybody who is in the pool can also come over. We use this space a lot. Do I have a go-to meal I like to cook when hosting people? I would say that the French girl in me loves to make a coq au vin. Anything that's kind of like a stew with a good French sauce is very popular. But because we live in Florida, I do a lot of things on the grill, whether it's grilled swordfish, which I love to make, with grilled asparagus and broccoli and vegetables. So I use this a lot too. I love to entertain, and I wanted a house that felt very open, where all the different spaces talk to each other. So in other words, if you're having a dinner party, you can also talk to the people who are at the kitchen island, and maybe there are a few more people in the living room having drinks. I also wanted the outdoor and indoors to communicate really well. So that's why we have these big glass doors that open up to outside, so you can be having a pool party while also going inside. So yes, all about the open spaces and the entertainment space. What I love most about my home is probably two things. I would say the color palette. I find it to be very soothing. I went with finishes and textures in the beige tones and creamy whites, and then there's that black marble, the black stone that provides a little bit of contrast. So I love the way the colors feel in the house. I also like the layout of the house really well. We have a busy family, and it's really nice that the primary suite is upstairs, tucked away in its own area. And I love how there's an office on one side, the guest suite is kind of on the other side of the house, the kids' bedrooms are upstairs. It feels like everybody has a space to kind of disappear in. All right, and next I would love to show you into my primary bedroom. Welcome into my primary bedroom. When designing this space, I wanted to feel like a hotel suite. I wanted everything to disappear and feel very integrated, which is why I did an integrated headboard here with floating nightstands and pendants, so everything feels very off the floor. I wanted it to be very cozy and very soft, which is why the palette, as you can see, is all these creamy shades of whites and tone-on-tone beige. I just want it to feel very soft. The chair or this chaise happened because I'm a huge reader. It's one of the favorite things I like to do. And I like to have a very designated spot to read. I mean, I kind of read everywhere, but this is definitely a good one where I lay down, I have this cozy blanket, I have a great view, I'm burning a candle. I'm really big into scent, and anytime I design a space, I really think about olfactory design. So that's how you bring scent into a space. In the bedroom, I like scents that are a little bit softer, a little bit more feminine. So I burn vanilla and roses and just lay here and open up my book and disappear for the day. This light fixture, it's actually called Bubbles because it looks just like that, like little bubbles that are about to pop, and it feels like a piece of jewelry and something just really fun in the bedroom. Bedding is definitely an area I like to splurge on because you spend a lot of time in bed, or at least I do. So this particular bedding is by Frette, and the thread count is quite high, but it's really worth it, I promise. It has a little bit of an equestrian detail to it because I'm a huge horseback rider. I think the colors are very soft, very chic, and you just really want to curl up in it at the end of the day. So at the foot of the bed, I created this mini living room or little sitting area, and I kind of joke with my husband because I had this whole vision of, you know, we're going to have these, and as I'm getting ready, you can sit here and sip on your cocktail in front of the fireplace and wait for me to get ready. And he looked at me like, we have 3 kids. When has that ever happened? So it hasn't really happened yet, but I find it to be very pretty. We've made a conscious effort to get there at some point. So just like in a living room, wherever you can incorporate a fireplace into a bedroom, I think it's a great idea. It gives this element of coziness and sexiness and just creates a mood. So here we have this fireplace. I added this floating shelf above it to anchor and separate the TV from the fireplace. I added wallpaper in the entire primary suite to give it that extra luxe, extra enveloping feeling. And then over here, people always ask me what these are. They don't serve any purpose. They're not acoustical panels. They're just decorative. And again, to me, help separate the entrance to the room. There's no really door to it. The door is further set back into the suite. So this just visually helps ground the space and starting point and end point. Welcome to my closet. This is probably one of my favorite spaces in the house. I love fashion. I think every French girl does, but I've always had this passion for it. So I wanted to have a large closet with a center island that I covered in this white marble and white roses because those are my favorites. And all these little drawers here contain smaller items. And then I added a shoe display here and more hanging space there. And yeah, it just makes me very happy to get ready here in the morning. I love adding pretty light fixtures in closets. I think that closets can be overlooked, and to me, they can have such a moment, especially over an island like this. So in this particular case, we picked a chandelier that has this Art Deco cut crystal detail to it. So I find it to be modern, but still very glam and very fitting in a primary closet. Right off my closet and my bedroom is my primary bathroom, so welcome. I wanted to create a space that feels very much like a resort or a spa, so that's why everything is very soft, very tone on tone. I opted for these very large format tiles on the floor that look like marble and then ran them into the shower. For the vanities, we have 2 separated vanities, and I opted for wall-mounted faucets because it just gives more space on the counter and keeps it even more clean. For the lighting, so lighting is really important in bathrooms, and I chose to backlight the 2 mirrors that we have in the bathroom, and they look like they're floating off the wall with the LED lighting behind them. I created a space that is dedicated to the vanity because I think every girl should have a space to get ready for a party, for your day. It's a very immersive kind of private moment, and I really wanted to make it fun. I picked a 2-tone palette here. The top is this beautiful gray stone, and the cabinetry is actually this white lacquer. For the pools, I opted for acrylic because this lucite has a really nice way of reflecting the light, and I pulled it in with the detail of the vanity bar stool here. It's very practical too, and everything just disappears, and it's just a great place. You can have all of your makeup really well organized. You have, I have my hair products down here, all the different makeup brushes, a magnifying mirror, all my beautiful perfumes. So I don't know, I just think it's very kind of like sexy and private, and I love this little space. So for this shower tub area, I opted for what I call a combined wet area, and people don't always think to do this, and I find it to be quite creative, especially if you're a little tight on space. So you step into, which is essentially a very large shower, and in it you have your floating tub on one side, and it almost feels like a sauna room. This happens to be a steam shower, so it's like a steam room, but I find this to be such a creative take of the space. I think what gives the home a soul is designing with a sense of purpose of how you're truly going to use your house. The whole idea is that you're building a home, not a project or not a house. So you want to be able to build memories in it. A comfortable chair to sit in, a sofa that sits the whole family, a cocktail table that allows you to put your drinks down on, a dining room table that, while beautiful, you're not afraid to scratch and you want to entertain at. I think a home should really be the canvas to live within. So don't be afraid, just go for it and use it and build memories. Welcome to my loft family room. This is a very special place in the house where all the family gathers. We do movie nights here. I wanted this space to feel very, very comfortable. So everything is performance. The sofa, the rug, as you can tell, the coffee table has this pebble-like organic shape. It's been bounced around quite a bit. I did this really fun wallpaper on the wall. It's by Philip Jeffries, and it looks like brush strokes. And my idea here was, this is a place where the kids play. I wanted to encourage creativity and artistic freedom. I also love the colors because it has this teal blue that reflects the light from outside so beautifully. And I wrapped the rest of the room in wallpaper as well for that extra layer of coziness. I love this light fixture. It's by Arteriors, I believe, but it has this plaster finish to it with very geometric shapes. So it feels artistic and elevated, but also grounded because of its finish. So I thought it was just so fitting for this space. This room is all about coziness. So we have a lot of blankets, the boucle finish of the sofa, and the rug has this beautiful sheen. It feels amazing on your feet. It's really cozy, and I love it. I incorporated this L-shaped built-in in the family room with shelves on one side. It's a great place to display all of our family albums. The kids actually go through all of these all the time. We have framed family pictures. I have great coffee table books, a lot of them around travel and fashion. Everything is color coordinated, as you can see, but that's really the palette of the room. I want something that felt kind of fun and whimsical and very bright. Accessories are very important to me, and I always spend a lot of time thinking about them. I use this company a lot where you can send them your own personal books, and then they wrap them in these linen covers that then disappear. So instead of having a lot of mismatched books, you can have books that look like the really kind of design and part of a set. So that's the linen books that you see here. And the bookends, both sets of them are out of selenite, which I find to be so beautiful and really precious, but still very organic. And then I discovered this company at the Dallas show years ago, but they're amazing. And they make all these different creations out of real moss. I've had this one for, I'm not kidding, maybe 6 or 7 years, and it hasn't moved. And there's crystals in it and all these different natural stones. And I find it just the ombre to be so pretty. So when designing this space up here, I wanted for it to be able to function on its own, with the idea that I can send the family up here, they can order pizza, they can have their drinks. So I set up this little bar. There's a refrigerator here. We keep all of our club sodas and waters in here, a sink, and then this little display shelf. And I brought in a couple of fun elements. I think this is Baccarat, the fun glass element. My senior designer gifted me with this beautiful vase that I brought up here. We have a candle that's wrapped in the same alabaster stone as we have downstairs. And this is the same stone actually that's on my island in my closet. I covered it with a film that you can't see to make it that much more resistant to bar use. And we use this little cabinet space quite a bit, I have to say, and it works really well to serve the secondary upstairs space. All right, welcome into our office. I really enjoy this space. It's a great room to disappear and work in. I created 2 designated working areas, so with a very large countertop so you can really kind of spread out and be comfortable. I love the rug. I find it to be very fun, obviously very feminine, but it adds a touch of whimsical in an otherwise pretty serious environment. The wallpaper has that same kind of free flow, almost like dancing-like element to it. The sofa doubles as a pull-out sofa bed for when we have extra guests who come over. I mentioned I was a really avid reader. This is another spot I love to be in. I added these sconces which light up beautifully, and you can read here and it's really, really comfortable. I have a piano in the corner here, which we're just teaching my youngest, and I hung this picture of Bo Simmons, who's a photographer I really love, and it's 2 horses in front of a fashion store, so it really spoke to me. The palette in this space is really special. It's a little bit on the moodier, darker side, but I've balanced it with elements that are a little bit lighter, like this light, for example, that's a mix of alabaster and brass. It makes the whole space feel really cozy. I think home means the center of life, to be honest. It's where you get inspired in the morning, is where you rest in the evening, is where you have great parties, have your friends over, kind of hang out with your kids and raise a family. So to me, the home is really the heart of life. It's where you start your day, where you end your day, where you have friends and family over. It's everything. It's the heart of it all. Homeworthy, it was great having you over and getting to show you my house here in Boca Raton, Florida. But it's time for you guys to go now. See you later.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.